Dear students, we have completed the story, The Little Match Girl. Today we shall have a look at the assignment. Starting from class 9th, we do not give question answers. You are expected to write the assignment on your own. That is to help yourself, because once you start writing on your own, you will write better and you will perform your exams extremely well. Therefore, we do not give question answers, but of course you have the chance to ask doubts, have interaction in the class. Now being the corona times and you do not have such facilities, and since this particular lesson the assignments are a bit tough, I thought I'll just help you out. Let's look at the questions. Assignment, page number 146. The first question is question number 1, extract number 1. Thus it was bitterly cold, snow was falling. That paragraph. Question number 1. What was special about the particular evening in the story? There are two parts in the question. First part is, what was special about the particular evening in the story? The answer is, it was New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve. Eve is evening, you know. New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve is equal to the last day of the evening. The last day of the old year. You can write like that also. So it was New Year's Eve, the last day of the old year. That will be good answer. And the part 2 in that, what kind of weather was there in the evening? How was the weather? The weather was cold, snowy, and darkness was gathering. That's all. So you can even make it simple like the weather was bitterly cold, comma, snowy, S-N-O-W-Y, snowy, S-N-O-W-Y, snowy and dark, as the evening was coming closer. If you don't add that also, no problem. So then the answer will be something like this. It was New Year's Eve, the last day of the old year. The weather was bitterly cold, snowy and dark. That's enough. Question number 2. The girl had slippers on, but they were of no use. Why? What happened to the slippers? Here again there are two parts. You should answer first the first part. The girl had slippers on, but they were of no use. That's a statement. Now you have to say why. So the slippers did not fit her legs. They were too big for her leg. Whatever you like to write. See, here there is no question of you should write this particular way. Only thing, the main points should be there. Main points you should not miss out. The rest you write in your own. When you write on your own, you'll get better marks. So the slippers did not fit her legs as they were too big. If you want, you can add it. In the bracket you can write, they belong to her mother. Or even without bracket also you can write. So the answer is this. The slippers did not fit her legs as they were too big and belonged to her mother. Second part of that question, what happened to the slippers? She lost one of the slippers while running across the street to escape a speeding carriage. She lost one of the slippers while running across the street to escape a speeding carriage. Speeding carriage. C-A-R-R-I-A-G-E, carriage. Carriage means it's a cart-like thing. Cart, a vehicle. What happened to the other slipper? The other slipper was stolen by a boy. You can say slipper thief, or you can, whatever you like to say, you can say, no problem. So the answer will be something like this. She lost one of the slippers while crossing the road and trying to escape a speeding carriage. She lost, the other slipper was stolen by a boy. That's all. We'll go to question number 3. How can you conclude from the extract that the girl was poor and dejected? How can you conclude? What does it mean, conclude? Make a conclusion. Come to a decision. How can you come to the decision that from the extract that the girl was poor and dejected? Poor, you know. What does it mean, dejected? Dejected means disappointed, depressed, sad. So from the passage, how can you conclude that the girl was poor and depressed? The answer is, the extract says that the little girl walked in cold gloom, bareheaded and barefoot. Bareheaded and barefoot. It's there in the passage. In the cold and gloom, a poor little girl walked bareheaded and barefoot. See, the author describes, the answer is something like this. The author describes the girl as a poor little girl, and the fact that she walked in the street bareheaded and barefoot help us to conclude that she was depressed. Got it? Okay. We'll go to next question, question number 4. Why was the girl out in the cold? What prevented her from going back home? There are 2 parts in this question. First part is, why was the girl out in the cold? The girl was out in the cold to sell matches and to earn a living. The girl was out in the cold to sell matches in order to make a living. Make a living means to earn some money for her family. Second part of that question, what prevented her from going back home? Prevent means to stop or something that hinders. What is it that did not allow her to go home? What is the answer? She could not get back home as she was afraid of her father, who is very cruel and who will punish her. So she was afraid to go home as her father was very strict, as her father was cruel and he would punish her. That's enough. And the last question of that section, how appropriate is the title of the story? Give reasons to support your answer. Again, there are 2 parts. We shall take the first one. How appropriate is the title of the story? Appropriate means fitting. The title of the story, The Little Match Girl. You add like that. The title of the story, comma, The Little Match Girl is highly appropriate. Not just appropriate, highly appropriate. So that the title, The Little Match Girl, is highly appropriate. Give reasons to support your answer. What reason will you give? It is very appropriate because the entire story revolves around the little match girl. Because the entire story revolves around the little match girl. Her poverty, her being the cold, her being depressed, her feeling lonely, her sitting in a corner, her imaginations, and her meeting with her grandmother, and her dying and being taken to heaven. So, the entire, you need not write all that, I'm just explaining to you. So, answer is something like this. It is very appropriate or highly appropriate. How do you establish? Because the entire story revolves around her. Next we shall take up the second extract. So the little girl walked about the streets on her naked feet. Starts with that and ends saying that nobody had bought any matches and no one had given her a single penny all day. She crept along, shivering and hungry, the picture of misery, poor little thing. First question. Who is referred to as little girl in the extract above? How did she lose her shoes? The two parts. First part. Who is referred to as little girl in the extract above? The little match girl is referred to as a little girl in the extract above. How did she lose her shoes? We have already seen the answer, so I don't repeat it. She lost one while crossing the street to escape a carriage, that one. Another one was stolen by a boy. Okay. We'll go to second question. Why was the girl carrying matches with her? Why was the girl carrying matches with her? Answer. To sell them and earn some money. So she was carrying the matches with her to sell them and make some money or earn some money. She was sent by her father and she carried the matches in her old apron. She was sent by her father to sell matches and she carried the matches in her old apron. That's enough. Question number 3. Why does the author describe the girl as a picture of misery? Why does the author describe the girl as a picture of misery? The author describes the girl as she lacked the basic necessities in life and had to face hardships. It made it difficult. Please pay attention. Why does the author describe the girl as a picture of misery? That is, by looking at that girl, we are reminded of her miserable condition, pitiable condition. Answer is, the author describes the girl as she lacked the basic necessities in life and had to face hardships. Her walking on the streets on her naked feet, which were red and blue with cold, comma, carried matches on her old apron and and nobody bought any matches and she earned nothing, adds to her misery. So it's a little difficult question. I will read once again. Please pay attention. The author describes the girl as she lacked the basic necessities in life and had to face hardships. Now we are giving some of the events. The author explains her misery. How? Her walking on the streets on her naked feet, which were red and blue with cold. Her carrying matches in her old apron. People not buying the matches and her earning no money the whole day. These things add to her misery. So you got some idea now. So you can write it on your own. Question number 4. What has not anybody bought from her and why? What was this act of selling used as a friend of? There are two parts. First part we shall answer first. What has not anybody bought from her and why? Nobody has bought matches from her. Why? Why nobody has bought matches? Because they were not concerned about the little girl and her needs. Nobody bought matches because the people were not concerned about her. Question part, second part. What was this act of selling used as a friend of? Yesterday I explained it. What's the meaning of the friend of? So what was this act of selling used as a friend of? This act of selling was used as a friend of begging. As begging was lawfully prohibited, they took on to an attractive term so friend of, F-R-O-N-D, friend of begging. As a friend of begging. Since begging was lawfully prohibited, they took on to an attractive term, selling matches. What is attractive term they used? Selling matches. But actually what were they doing? These children were selling, they were begging. So the answer is like this. This act of selling was used as a friend of begging. As begging was lawfully prohibited, they took on to an attractive term called selling matches. We'll go to the fifth question. Explain how is the story interspersed with didactic elements. Give two examples of imagery used in this extract. Explain how is the story interspersed with didactic elements. There are a few words difficult for you. First I will explain them. Interspersed means filled with, distributed, filled with. So it is filled with didactic elements. What is didactic elements? Didactic is teaching a moral lesson through a story. Teaching a moral lesson through a story. So teaching of moral lessons So teaching of moral lessons with the help of a story is called didactic. Explain how is a story interspersed with didactic elements. Give 2 examples of imagery used in this context. So didactic element refers to moral teaching done with the help of a tale, T-A-L-E, tale or story. So that is the answer. Didactic element refers to moral teaching done with the help of stories. Here the author exposes the crude view of society in Victorian times and their apathetic attitude and class differentiation. Apathetic attitude, class difference. So these are the 2 didactic teaching he achieves through this story. Apathetic attitude. Apathetic attitude is attitude of indifference, not showing any interest, unconcerned. Another one is class differentiation. So the answer is didactic element refers to moral teaching done with the help of a story. Here the author exposes the crude view of society in Victorian times and their apathetic attitude and class differentiation. Give 2 imageries. 2 examples of imagery used in this extract. There are so many imageries. You have to give any 2. So you can say the huge Christmas tree, that's one image. The iron stove was another image. Sumptuous feast was another image. You give any 2. So you can say the huge iron stove, one image. Another imagery is the twinkling Christmas tree. So all the visions, you remember the 4 visions. The first 3 visions, they were all imageries. You can give any of the 2. So that's the end of second assignment. Now we shall go to third assignment. Read the extract given below and answer the questions that follow. She tucked her little legs up under her. She felt colder and colder. That passage which ends with the wind whistled through that, even though the largest cracks were stuffed with straw and rags. That's about her house. First question, where was the girl sitting? How did she try to warm her fingers? It's easy. Where was the girl sitting? The girl was sitting in a corner formed by 2 houses, one of which projected further out into the street than the other. It's there in your book. The girl was sitting in a corner formed by 2 houses, one of which projected further out into the street than the other. That's the first part. Second part is, how did she try to warm her fingers? She tried to warm her fingers from the cold by lighting the matches. So how did she warm up her finger? She tried to warm her fingers up by lighting the matches, by striking it on the wall. Question number 2. Why did the girl do not dare to go home? Why she did not dare to go home? Give reason to support your answer. This we have already done. The girl did not dare to go home as she had sold no matches and earned not a single penny. She was sure that her father would beat her. Besides, it was cold at home. So her father was very unkind to her. That's enough. So why did the girl not dare to go home? She did not dare to go home as she did not sell any matches and earned no money. So you have to give some explanation. Give reasons to support your answer. Reason is this. She was sure that her father would beat her. Then some more reasons we are giving. Besides, it was cold at home. Her father was very unkind to her. That's enough. Question number 3. Explain what kind of relationship the girl shared with her father. Explain what kind of relationship the girl shared with her father. The girl's relationship with her father wasn't a cordial one. Cordial is friendly. So you can use the word friendly also, no problem. The girl's relationship with her father was not a friendly one. She did not experience the love and concern of a father. The girl did not experience the love and concern of her father. Besides, he even abused her and she was afraid of her father. Besides, we are giving one more reason. Other than this. Besides means other than this. Besides, her father even abused her and the girl was afraid of her father. That's enough. Question number 4. With reference to the story, bring out the theme of class differentiation. With reference to the theme, with reference to the story, bring out the theme of class differentiation. This we have done yesterday. So you can write something like this. The author H.C. Andersen, through his story The Little Match Girl, depicts the class differentiation during Victorian era. I repeat. The author H.C. Andersen, through his story The Little Match Girl, depicts the class differentiation during Victorian era. He employs the literary device interplay of contrast to show the disparity between the rich and the poor. He employs the literary device. Literary device. What is a literary device? The literary device called interplay of contrast. Interplay of contrast. So the author uses the literary device called interplay of contrast. Yesterday I explained to you. Interplay of contrast, wherein two opposite things are explained to depict the disparity between the rich and poor. Disparity means difference. To show the difference between the rich and poor, he is employing the literary device called interplay of contrast. Okay, that's enough. Question number 5. The children in Victorian society were not only orphaned but also deserted. The children in Victorian society were not only orphaned but also deserted, neglected and abused. Give evidence from the story to prove this statement. Compare the life of children in rural India with children in Victorian society. So there are two parts. First one is says that in Victorian society the children were orphaned and deserted, neglected and abused. You have to give reasons. First we shall do that one. The bad treatment of children during Victorian era is depicted in the story powerfully. The bad treatment of children during Victorian era is depicted in the story powerfully. Full stop. The little girl sent out in the cold to earn money for family. The little girl sent out in the cold to earn money for her family, comma, her not having warm clothes, shoe, etc., comma, her daddy's unfriendly attitude towards her, her daddy's unfriendly attitude towards her, and the loneliness she experienced. All these things explain. These are the examples. All these are examples to show that in the Victorian society the children were orphaned, neglected and abused. So you can write on your own words. The main points are: the little girl was sent out in the cold. She sold matches to earn a living. She did not have shoes to put on. She did not have proper dresses, warm clothes to cover herself. Her needs and desires were not fulfilled. Her home was in a poor state. She was hungry. She was shivering in the cold. She had no place of rest. She had to rest in a corner in a street. Nobody bought matches from her and she earned no money. She felt sad. All these things. We can add all those things. It will be a little longer answer, but bit tough. We can write it. The second part of the same question. Compare the life of children in rural India with children in Victorian society. They experience the same as the children of Victorian age experienced. What do you say? I think the children of our society, the children in India are not treated that badly. To some extent, the children of India to experience like the children of Victorian era. But our children are better placed, better looked after and better cared for. So you can say that the children of India to have similar experiences, but not as bad as the children of Victorian era. Our children are better placed. Our children are treated in a better way. We will go to next extract. Question. This is assignment number 4. She struck another, it burned clearly, and where the light fell upon the wall. That one. Question number 1. Who was she referred to in this tract? Who was she referred to in this tract? To us, the little match girl. Where was she? She was sitting in a corner. What happened when she lit the matchstick? Here the reference is to the first matchstick. What happened when she lit the matchstick? So when she lit the first matchstick, she saw a huge iron stove with bright flames. A huge iron stove having bright flames. Flame, F-L-A-M-E. Flames, bright flames. We'll go to question number 2. So what? You got the answer? No. I'll repeat once more. When she lighted the first match, she saw a warm stove having bright flames. The fire gave out lovely warmth. W-A-R-M-T-H, warmth. When she tried to warm her feet, the flame went off and the stove vanished. When she tried to warm her feet, the flame went off and the stove vanished, disappeared. We'll go to question number 2. What did the girl see in the room when she lit the second match? What happened to these things after a moment? There are 2 parts. We shall answer first part first. What did the girl see in the room when she lit the second match? What did she see? When she lit the second match, she saw through the transparent wall a dining room and a table set for a delicious dinner. So when she lit the second match, she saw through the transparent wall a room, dining room, in which the table was set for a delicious dinner. And one of the items was a roasted goose which came out of the table and walked towards her. That much now. One of the items was a roasted goose which walked towards her. Second part of the same question. What happened to these things after a moment? After a moment, everything disappeared. All those things disappeared. Question number 3. Explain how the girl's visions are symbolic of her undying hope. Explain how the girl's visions are symbolic of her undying hope. Undying hope means a hope that does not die. A hope that is not lost. That is always hopeful. So explain how the girl's visions are symbolic of her undying hope. The girl's visions were symbolic of her needs and desires and hope. The girl's visions were symbolic of her needs, desires, and hope. Full stop. The first vision gave her the most needed warmth and comfort. That's a stove, iron stove. The first vision gave her the needed warmth and comfort. Second vision gave her the need for food was fulfilled. Her desire for food was fulfilled. Third vision was that of the Christmas tree. Her unfulfilled desires were fulfilled. She wanted to buy the Christmas tree which she saw in a shop. Therefore, the undesired needs of hers was fulfilled in the third vision. And the fourth vision, she managed to see her grandmother and talk to her. The only one loved her. So this will be a little longer answer. How the girl's visions are symbolic of her undying hope. You have to write one sentence each of about each vision. First vision, one. Second vision, third vision, and fourth vision. First vision gave her as a stove, gave her warmth and comfort. Second vision, that's a delicious dinner. Her desire for food was satisfied. Third vision, the Christmas tree. All her desires, unfulfilled desires were fulfilled. And the fourth vision, she got united with her grandmother. She had a chance to talk to her grandmother and spend time in her company. That's enough. Question number 4. What does the light from the matches symbolize in the story? What does the light from the matches symbolize in the story? So, still we have seen the answer. Match is not just matches, it is a symbolic. It is a symbol of warmth, love, and hope. So light from the matches is a symbol of warmth, W-A-R-M-T-H, warmth, love, and hope. Question number 5. Explain why the girl lit the whole bundle of matches at the end of the story. How does this reflect on her mental state? There are two parts. First one is explain why the girl lit the whole bundle of matches at the end of the story. Towards the end of the story, we will see her burning the whole entire matches she had. What was the reason? You remember she struck 4 matches and she had 4 visions. First matches, when the match went off, the vision disappeared. Second match, also same thing happened. Third match also, same thing happened. Therefore, you can write something like this. The girl struck 4 matches. The first 3 visions disappeared when the matches went off. So she knew that grandmother will disappear when the match will be burned. So she wanted to burn all the matches to keep grandmother with her. So she wanted to burn the entire matches to keep grandmother with her. Second part of the same question. How does this reflect on her mental state? What was she okay? Something wrong with her? Or what was her mental status? She was in a state of hallucination. hallucination. H she was in a state of hallucination. That's a mental state. As she kept imagining things which did not exist. So, she was in a state of hallucination as she kept imagining things which did not exist. Was there a stove? No. Was there a dinner arranged and the goose walking? No. Was there a Christmas tree? Never. But all these were her imaginations, fantasies. So, that's why hallucination is a state wherein you imagine of things happening which is not real. It does not happen, but you are imagining as if it is happening. So the answer is, the girl was in a state of hallucination as she kept imagining things which did not happen. She wanted to be in the company of her grandmother, take her to heaven, where there would be neither cold, nor hunger, nor any abuse. So, she wanted her grandmother to take her to heaven, where there is no suffering at all. So that is a mental status. We will go to the last passage number 5. Read the extract given below and answer the questions that follow. This is assignment number 5. But in the cold dawn, in the corner formed by the two houses, sat the little girl with rosy cheeks and smiling lips. Starting with that till the end of the story, passage. Question number 1. Which girl is referred to in the extract above? You know the answer. The little match girl is referred to in the extract above. What does her rosy cheeks and smiling lips tell us about her? Her rosy cheeks and smiling lips tell us about her. What does it say? The answer is, the little match girl is referred to in the extract above. She was a transformed being. So the smiling lips, rosy cheeks and smiling lips tell us that she was a transformed being. Transformed means changed. She was a transformed being. Her rosy cheeks and smiling lips tell us that she was happy being with her grandmother and God, where there is no suffering. This tells us that she was happy to be in the presence of grandmother and God, where there is no hunger, no cold, no abuse. That is, having no sufferings. Question number 2. What is referred to as beautiful visions in the extract above? How does the girl encounter these beautiful visions? 2 parts are there. First we will answer the first question. What is referred to as beautiful visions in the extract above? Beautiful visions are sweet visions. S-W-E-E-T, sweet. Sweet, that is pleasant. So, beautiful visions refer to sweet visions or pleasant visions. They were fulfillment of her needs and desires. So, What is referred to as beautiful visions in the extract above? Beautiful visions referred to in the extract are sweet or pleasant visions where her needs and desires were fulfilled. There were 4 visions. Okay. Second part. How does the girl encounter these beautiful visions? She encountered these beautiful visions by lighting the matches. How did she encounter? Encounter means to meet. Encounter, to meet or face. How did she meet? Or how did she make it happen? By lighting the matches on the wall. Question number 3. What kind of relationship existed between the girl and her grandmother? What kind of relationship existed between the girl and her grandmother? The relationship that existed between the girl and her grandmother was a loving and friendly one. Loving and friendly. That's an important word. Loving and friendly. She describes her grandmother as the only one who had ever been good to her. The girl describes grandmother as the only one who had ever been good to her. Grandmother was very gentle, kind and loving. I'll read once again. The relationship existed between the girl and the grandmother was loving and friendly. The girl described her grandmother as the only one who had ever been good to her. The grandmother was so gentle, kind and loving. That's enough. Question number 4. How does the extract bring out the hope for a better life after death? How does the extract bring out the hope for a better life after death? The extract brings out the hope for a better life after death as she is now free of the suffering that she had faced in her life as a result of poverty. So the answer is like this. So the question is, how does the extract bring out the hope for a better life after death? The extract brings out the hope for a better life after death as she is now free of suffering that she had to undergo because of her poverty. I'll explain. Because of the poverty, she was put to a lot of hardships and sufferings. Now after death, all these sufferings are not there. No cold, no hunger, no abuse. So therefore, there is a hope for a better life after death. Question number 5. Give the brief character sketch of the little match girl. How is she a representative of children in Victorian society? Give the brief character sketch of the little match girl. So that is the first part. First one is give a character sketch of the little match girl. So you can speak about her sufferings, how she did not have sufficient clothes to keep herself warm. She walked bareheaded and barefoot. She went out in the cold to sell matches to earn a living for her family. Through imagination or fantasy, she found a solution for her sufferings. She was very close to her grandmother and wanted to spend time with her. And at the end, she meets the grandmother and talks to her. She requests her to take her to heaven where there is no suffering. So all those things you can write. It's easy. The second part to that question. How is she a representative of children in Victorian society? Representative means somebody who is standing for Victorian age. So how does she become a spokesperson or a representative of Victorian society? So in Victorian society, children were put to lot of suffering. They were orphaned, they were abused, they were treated badly. So all the sufferings and difficulties the children of the Victorian era had to undergo, she also underwent. And through imagination and fantasy, she got her needs and desires fulfilled. And she managed to get away from this world to heaven where there is no suffering. In this manner, she becomes a representative of the Victorian society.